Hello everyone, and welcome back to Rules as Written Character Builds. This December I wanted to do something special and try to take that classic YouTube tradition of Vlogmas and bring it into my channel. So, introducing Buildmas. This December I'm going to be releasing one new character build every weekday, Monday through Friday, until Christmas. And on Christmas Day we're going to be doing a double feature. Since this adds up to exactly 20 videos, I thought it would be fun to go levels 1 through 20 and release a build designed specifically to operate at that level. And today is the end of week 1, episode 5, aka level 5. Those who have been watching videos from my channel for a while know that I love making villainous character builds. And one of my favorite low-level villains is the Wight. Basically, the little brother of the Death Knight. A Wight is an undead warrior leading a small troop of zombies. They make great mini-bosses in areas plagued by the curse of undeath, but with strong charisma, wisdom, and an average intelligence, plus the ability to speak, they can totally be a significant antagonist for a low-level party. As I normally do, I want to try and recreate the spirit of this monster in a playable character. We won't be necessarily looking to make a one-to-one replica of all of its abilities and equipment, but rather make a character that feels like we are playing as a Wight and still being efficient in our class and abilities. Wights are meant to use their undeath to endlessly wage war against the living. So for this build, we're going to be making a War Cleric. So introducing Buildmas Episode 5, the Wight. With these videos, I focus only on features that either play into the character fantasy or are necessary for the mechanical play of the build. For this reason, you'll often see me skip over class features. That's just me trying to keep these videos to a reasonable length and stay on track. I also try my best to play into the backwards compatibility of the 2024 rule set, so I use content from prior to 2024 as long as it hasn't been reprinted. For our species, we are going to be using the Dhampir, but we'll be doing a little bit of reflavoring. Remember kids, flavor is free. Instead of the vampiric essence of a Dhampir, we'll be taking the undead features of the species and making ourselves look more like a zombie warrior. We'll have dark vision for navigating crypts, and like any good undead, we won't need to breathe. The spider climb is a bit strange on this character, but I just like to flavor it that our skeletal husk is so light that we can climb on any surface. Think of the skeletal pirates from Curse of the Black Pearl, the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Anyway, the big feature here is Vampiric Bite, but what I like to think of it as is our Wight Bite. Your Fanged Bite is a natural weapon, which counts as a simple melee weapon with which you are proficient. You add your Constitution modifier instead of your Strength modifier to the attack and damage rolls when you attack with this bite. It deals 1d4 piercing damage on a hit, and while you are missing half or more of your hit points, you have advantage on attack rolls you make with this bite. When you attack with this bite and hit a creature that isn't a construct or an undead, you can empower yourself in one of the following ways of your choice. You regain hit points equal to the piercing damage dealt by the bite, or you gain a bonus to the next ability check or attack roll you make. The bonus equals the piercing damage dealt by the bite. You can empower yourself with this bite a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. 1d4 plus con mod ain't much damage, but the bonuses we can give ourselves are actually pretty nice. Next, for our ability scores, we're going to prioritize Wisdom and Constitution, so this will be our spread. Strength of 13, Dexterity of 10, Constitution of 15, Intelligence of 8, Wisdom of 15, and Charisma of 10. We do need a little bit of strength to wear our heavy armor, so that's why we put a 13 in there. To make this build as effective as possible, we'll need some wizard cantrips, so we are going to take the Sage background for the Magic Initiate Wizard feat. Choose Wisdom for the spellcasting ability score of this feat. Our first choice will be Chill Touch, a melee spell attack that deals d10s for its damage. This is our version of the Wight's Life Drain ability. Our second choice will be True Strike. This is a cantrip that lets us make an attack with our weapons using Wisdom instead of Strength. It also deals extra radiant damage, which is a bit strange for an undead warrior. I would personally see if your DM would allow you to substitute necrotic damage instead, but I think it's still worth taking even if we have to deal with the flavor loss on radiant damage so that we don't need to have a high strength or dexterity. For the first level spell from Wizard, I would personally take Shield for a reaction AC buff. We'll be using heavy armor and wearing a shield, so along with this, we'll be pretty safe from attacks. For this background's ability score improvements, increase Wisdom by +2 for a 17, and Constitution by +1 for a 16. Equipment-wise, we will be mirroring a usual Wight, carrying a longsword and a longbow. However, we're going to make ourselves a bit more heavily armored, and equip chainmail and a shield instead of a Wight's classic studded leather. We're going pure cleric for this build, so let's take a look at the features we're getting from that class. Divine Order, Channel Divinity, Guided Strike, War Priest, and the Animate Dead spell. So first off, Divine Order gives us two choices, Protector or Thaumaturge. Thaumaturge gives us an extra cantrip and some ability check buffs, but we're here for Protector, for proficiency with heavy armor and martial weapons. Now we can wear our chainmail and wield our longsword and longbow. Channel Divinity has two options we can use, Divine Spark for a single target damage or heal, pretty weak in my opinion, or Turn Undead, an area of effect, fear and flee on any number of undead in the aura. What's nice about Turn Undead for our build is it allows us to choose which undead have to make the saving throw, so we can keep our own undead minions safe. Speaking of Channel Divinity, our subclass gives us the Guided Strike option. When you or a creature within 30 feet of you misses with an attack roll, you can expend one use of your Channel Divinity and give that roll a +10 bonus, potentially causing it to hit. When you use this feature to benefit another creature's attack roll, you must take a reaction to do so. I really like this ability on this build, because if we empower ourselves with our Wight Bite, after hitting a creature, we gain that damage, which is going to be 1d4 + 3, as a bonus to our next attack roll. Then add Guided Strike on that as well, for another +10. And we could be looking at a total to hit modifier of +23. Or, more efficiently, add Guided Strike to the bite attack to make sure it hits, and then empower the next attack roll with the bite effect. That way both attacks gain additional modifiers. Speaking of attacks, let's take a look at our subclass feature, War Priest. As a bonus action, you can make one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a short or long rest. 2 attacks per turn is nice, but with our low strength and dexterity, we want to make sure that we never use this feature to attack with our long sword or long bow. Let those stay as true strike attacks. Instead, use this bonus action to make your bite attacks with your much higher constitution modifier. Okay, let's talk about those longsword and true strike attacks. Longswords deal 1d8 damage, and true strike will add 1d6 radiant for a total of 1d8 and 1d6 + 4. That's between 6 and 18 damage, or an average of 12. Compare that to Chill Touch, which deals 2d10 between 2 and 20 damage, but an average of 11. Both are pretty similar, but I would personally use Chill Touch for the aesthetic and the necrotic damage, even though the longsword attack damage is technically more consistent. But, you know, use whichever attack you want to in the moment, switch it up, whatever feels good. This, though, does seem like a good time to talk about the feat we are going to take for this build, Shadow Touched. Your exposure to the Shadowfell's magic has changed you, granting you the following benefits. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You learn the invisibility spell and one first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from the illusion or necromancy schools of magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast that spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have of the appropriate level. The spell's spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat. Increase your wisdom with this feat to 18 for a +4 modifier. Our first level necromancy spell choice is going to be the Wrathful Smite spell from the Paladin spell list. This feat is one of the few ways to get a Paladin Smite into a build without needing a Paladin level. When we hit with a melee weapon or an unarmed strike, we can cast this spell as a bonus action to deal 1d6 necrotic damage per spell level to that target. They also must make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. This is a way to pump some necrotic burst damage onto our targets. Now, the attack must be from a melee weapon or an unarmed strike, so our Chill Touch cantrip will not be able to smite. Adding this to the build is where the longsword true strike attacks become the better damage option than the Chill Touch cantrip if you are smiting. Funnily enough, since our bite is technically a simple melee weapon, we can smite on our Wight Bite. Okay, so that is our character's combat abilities locked down. When enemies are at range, hit them with true strike longbow attacks. When they get in close, take your pick between Chill Touch attacks and bonus action Wight Bites thanks to War Priest, or longsword true strike attacks and bonus action Wrathful Smites. As far as spell casting goes, I would use our first level slots for the shield spell on our reactions to defend ourselves, and our second level slots on Wrathful Smite for the improved 2d6 extra damage. Speaking of spell slots, let's hit on the final piece of this build, the Undead Army. We are going to be taking the Animate Dead spell, 3rd level spell that lets us raise the slain corpses of humanoids as zombies. We could also target piles of bones and make skeletons, which I personally like more, but the Wight can only make zombies, so let's focus on them. One casting of this spell animates one zombie and gives us control over it for 24 hours. Before that 24 hours is up, we need to cast the spell again to maintain control of the zombie for another 24 hours. However, casting it in this way does allow us to target up to 4 zombies and maintain control of them. So in this way, it does take a few days to get a decent squad of undead. At 5th level, we have 2 3rd level spell slots. So on day 1, we can raise 2 zombies. On day 2, we can reassert control over those 2 zombies for another 24 hours using only 1 spell slot, and then raise a 3rd zombie. On day 3, we can reassert control over those 3 zombies and raise a 4th, and then on day 4, we can reassert control over those 4 zombies and raise a 5th. 5 is our max at this level, however, because we always need to reassert control over 4, so we won't have spell slots to raise a 6th. However, if you have a very important day coming up and you have bodies to spare, at the end of the 4th day, you could reassert 4, raise a 5th, you'll have 5 till the end of the 5th day. So at the beginning of the 5th day, you could raise 2 more and you would have 7, but you would just have to know that at the end of that day, you would have no slots left over to reassert control over any of your 7. So hopefully they die in combat or you save your turn undead to kill them at the end of the day. But anyway, you can have up to 7 as long as you're willing to lose all of them at the end of that day. Okay, so that's the build. Now, all of our choices here have been geared towards making ourselves a better melee combatant. Heavy armor and martial weapon proficiency. True Strike and the shield spell for attack and defense. Guided Strike and Wight Bite for improved attack accuracy. War Priest and Wrathful Smite for bonus action extra damage. And finally, we tackle on the Animate Dead spell so we can start raising our undead squad. So, there you have it. That is a 5th level player character inspired by the classic D&D monster, the Wight. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of today's build, as well as this whole Buildmas concept in general. Come back Monday and every weekday until Christmas for another original character build. Thank y'all, and I'll see you next week.